What we remember matters. Who we remember matters. And how we remember them matters. Our memories anchor us to the past. They tell us where we came from and why we are here. The memories of our ancestors can inspire bravery and resilience, or they can complicate our minds with turmoil and shame. Memory is malleable, and memorialization is a way to harness our individual and our collective sacred memories. In so doing, we summon our ancestors into present-day conversation, forging new relationships with ancient stories. Remembering is a verb. Memorialization is something that we actively do. Forgetting is another verb. What we forget is just as important as what we remember. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. What this holiday means to you, to your neighbors, to our country, what it's meant in the past, what it means now, there's a whole spectrum of meaning there. For me, personally, Memorial Day will always be connected to memories of my father. My dad's ancestors, my ancestors, were buried in the tiny cemetery where the church where he grew up, where I grew up, where his father and grandfather and grandmother and great-grandparents also grew up. Each year on Memorial Day, as I was growing up, my family would gather together to remember those who came before. We'd have some fried chicken, you know them from the South, maybe ham biscuits. We'd go out and we'd decorate the graves. Memorial Day in the southern region where I'm from, it has come to mean family. The churches in my small town would each choose a different Memorial Day Sunday when my mom was growing up, so that folks had ancestors and who had ancestors in multiple graveyards could go attend different Memorial Day services throughout the month to honor all of their ancestors' graves. My mom describes folks dragging lawn chairs out to the cemeteries and just sitting there all afternoon, eating watermelon, sipping lemonade, chatting and sharing stories. And that they probably didn't go out and buy flowers at the grocery store. They probably didn't have money for that. But they might have brought some wildflowers or something else to decorate the graves. Maybe some of you have memories like this or other memories dramatically different than this of what Memorial Day has meant for you and your family or in your life. Maybe for some of you, celebrating this holiday might be foreign, or memories like these might be unusual. Probably many of you have significantly different stories than mine, and mine come from a very particular white Southern reality. And also, the history of the initial Memorial Day is dramatically different than the story of mine or the stories of how we celebrate Memorial Day now. And I'd like to share that with you today. The first Memorial Day was actually called Decoration Day. Decoration Day, a day to celebrate ancestors and decorate their graves. And more specifically, a day to decorate the graves of those who died in our Civil War. And even more specifically than that, a ritual memorialization of the graves of Union soldiers who gave their lives for African American freedom from slavery. I personally didn't grow up learning or hearing this story of Decoration Day. I learned about the history of Decoration Day from the sermons of Dr. Lori Kinshaft, a lifelong UU up in New England who holds a doctorate in American history. And you'd assume, given her degree, I'd assume that Dr. Kinshaft learned about the history of Decoration Day through her doctoral studies. However, if you listen to her sermons like I did, you'll learn that she discovered this history after receiving her degree, which is important. That's how deep true history is sometimes buried. As I said before, what we remember is important, and so is what we or others choose to forget. Dr. Kinshaft's sermons directed me to the work of historian David Blight and his book, Race and Reunion, The Civil War in American Memory. In it, Blight recalls America's first Decoration Day, a day of memorialization and remembrance, and I'd like to share that story with you now. It's May Day. Imagine it with me. May Day, a day of celebration and of spring, of flowers. May 1st, 1865, Charleston, South Carolina. And 10,000 people have gathered to decorate the graves of Union soldiers who've died as prisoners of war in Charleston, prisoners of the Civil War. In the days leading up to this powerfully symbolic event, this first Decoration Day, over 250 Union soldiers' bodies were unearthed from a mass grave where they'd been buried together, and they were properly reburied. The throng of 10,000 who gathered to honor them and those who did the work to rebury them were mostly Black, mostly formerly enslaved, and they gathered to honor these fallen soldiers' lives and the freedom that they died for. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the procession began. Imagine it with me. 3,000 Black school children carrying armloads of roses and singing John Brown's Body together. Following the children are 300 Black women representing the Patriotic Association, carrying baskets of flowers, wreaths, and crosses. And behind the 3,000 children and 300 women came a procession of Black men representing the Mutual Aid Society, marching in cadence with one another, followed by throngs of Black and white citizens, all carrying flowers. Thousands carrying flowers to decorate these beloved martyrs' graves. And while the adults march around the graves, throwing flowers, until not an inch was left uncovered, the children gathered in a nearby grove and they kept singing. They sang songs of patriotism and hope. They sang patriotic songs like America. And then the ministers of Charleston's Black churches, all the ministers of the Black churches in the area, they were the ones who officially dedicated the cemetery with their prayers. And in so doing, Blight tells us, they declared the meaning of the war in the most public way possible. It reminds me of Dr. Cornel West saying, justice is what love looks like in public. They made their love public. And when the ceremony was finished, a local paper reported that, quote, the holy mounds, the tops, sides, and the spaces between them were one mass of flowers. Not a speck of earth could be seen. And as the breeze wafted the sweet perfumes from them outside and beyond, there were few eyes among those who knew the meaning of the ceremony that were not dim with tears of joy. Remembering is a sacred act. And through it, we are able to gather the bones from the past to dig up the graves that were disrespectfully created, to dismantle old wounds and recreate, sanctify, and reunite our hearts with what matters. To claim our truth, to make sacred, to memorialize. Remembering is not just about the past. Through it, we create the world anew. Remembering is a verb, and forgetting is another verb. What we choose to remember and how we memorialize our past gives rise to our future. Unearthing and holding up important, essential memories like this is a powerfully healing thing to do. What these people did in the past was powerfully healing, so healing that it continues to heal us in the present when we choose to honor it and remember it. So friends, I invite us to lay claim to this healing story of our past in this present moment. Let's embrace the rituals of memory from our past and also lean into the ones that we can create together today. We've gathered this morning to honor both Memorial Day and its history, as well as the act of sacred memorialization through the ritual of sanctifying our newly revived community garden. Later in this service, you will be invited into a ritual of naming beloved community members aloud into this space who contributed here to our community or to our garden. And after our worship service concludes, you will further be invited to process out to the garden with singing and to draw your sacred intentions there on community prayer flags to decorate our space with words of hope and beauty. I ask us now to consider how these and other rituals of memorialization might serve us as a community and serve our world. Let's continue to reach back into the past, make meaning from it. Let's not let our most beautiful, sacred memories die. Let's engage together in an act of reclaiming what has been lost when we can, learning from it, cherishing what we've learned, and singing our most beloved memories back into being. May we collectively scatter flowers on our beloved ancestors' graves, honoring those especially who gave their bodies and lives for the cause of liberation yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Beauty is possible from brokenness. Death is part of life, and so is remembering. The choice of how we remember and who we choose to remember is up to us. Friends, pause with me now and ask, whose grave will your heart scatter flowers on today? May you hold those beloved ancestors close in your heart, and may their stories be sanctified and their memories ever be for a blessing. Amen. And blessed be.